Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Market. Happy Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, October 29th. What a gift it is to be alive. Anyway, today I'd like to talk about all the letters and questions that I've received about Trump's president's trip to China. I've also gotten a lot of questions about Venezuela, what we're really doing down there. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the president and Chinese President Xi Jinping are supposed to be negotiating a deal, some grand master bargain. My sources tell me that it's not going to be as grand and big as expected, more frankly, like a toning back of tensions and really maybe back to where they were when the president took office. But I was very happy to see the President Trump starts with our most important alliance there. We start with Japan, and they have a new prime minister, first female prime minister in Japanese history. Great. And this is a serious woman. It's not a DEI hire. This is a serious woman. I'm learning how to pronounce her name, Sanae Takaichi. And they both basically came out with an agreement saying that they're going to really boost the U.S. Japan Security Alliance, which is the cornerstone for our presence in that part of the world. Very important. They also talked about rare earth deals, which, what's ironic, we were going to have a conference last week in Washington, D.C. on the very issue of rare earths. But the government shut down and we were not able to do that. We are also looking at alternate dates. So I know a lot of you guys have asked about that. We will let you know. We'll keep you in the loop. But it's very good for us. If you're the president, you think to yourself, okay, step one, shore up our partners. Shore up my security alliance with Japan and rare earths agreement. Go to South Korea, shore up the security alliance with them. Let them know that you are there, that you're not leaving, so they don't start thinking about cutting deals with China. This is a great power competition, and at stake are all the middle countries, middle powers, we call them, powers that are able to act regionally but can't project really internationally, at least anymore. Ideally, he goes to Japan, rare earths, and security alliance, big investments. They were not specific about that, but Japan said, quote, fundamentally reinforce their defense capabilities. Very important. And then South Korea, and doing the rare earth deal, South Korea, you'd want to see the same kind of language there, plus shipbuilding for America. They have massive ship capacity, and we don't. And it would be very much in our best interest for South Korea to start us and help us build more ships. So I'm very happy about this. And of course, you go in there, you guard your flank, you lock down your allies, then you get to go to China and negotiate with a stronger hand, which we will see the results of this week. And that brings me to Trump's shooting of boats in Venezuela. It's something I want to talk about. And look, I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The Middle East is a sideshow. What's happening even in Venezuela is a sideshow. All over the world, the president is going to be judged by the relationship with China. All these other things are all small potatoes compared to the importance of China. So the entire Trump presidency, from a foreign policy perspective, will be judged by the deal he cuts with China, how we work with China, basically what we give away, what not. So his whole presidency will be defined by this. Now, as it relates to Venezuela, a lot of folks have said, is Venezuela really a drug country? Look, one of the things that I focused on is Venezuela and China signed a big comprehensive strategic partnership in 2023. So we don't really know what's going on, but I do know for sure that if I were China, I would be using Venezuela, propping up their government, and using them to cause trouble for the United States, to pin us down, to keep us busy in our own home area. And it would not surprise me that it were to come out that we are really going after the Maduro regime, not because we're not isolationist and Trump betrayed the MAGA movement for helping Venezuela and funding Argentina, but because China is meddling in our backyard and, of course, intelligently on their behalf, forcing us to divert resources. When we have to deal with things like this with Venezuela, it forces us to divert military resources to that area, keeps us busy. That's what they want. They don't want all of our military resources in the Pacific by Taiwan. When Argentina has financial troubles, it forces us to divert financial resources to prop up the Argentine government. But we need to have our house in order. The Americas are our house. So I'm a very big fan of what he's doing. Let's face it, it's probably not about drugs at all. He's just trying to put pressure on the Venezuela dictator, Maduro. And I'm convinced there's a Chinese connection there. I'm not trying to see Chinese ghosts everywhere. I'm just telling you that there's something going on there with China's propping up of Maduro and funding of certain things. And it's very possible that they're using Venezuela to send people to America for a whole bunch of reasons. Anyway, so this is the great game, as Winston Churchill called it famously. The great game, the great power competition that is happening right now. There's so much going on. It's a very exciting time to be alive if you're into these things, because we're watching the rise of a competitive power that's competing with the United States, a full spectrum competition, because this is not the Soviet Union, and we haven't had one of those in a while. And watching our response to that is going to be, it's very exciting. And also, I'm one of those people that thinks being a dominant power with no competitors fattens you and softens you. I actually am one of those people that thinks it's good to have a competitor to sharpen the edges, to keep you tough, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, that's all I have. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.